Back with another Monday stream here. And yeah, let's get right into it. So yeah, pretty big down days at the end of last week, both in Globex Thursday, RTH Thursday, Globex Friday, RTH Friday. Had a gap down that was looking like it was initially defended by sellers, but then eventually we started having big push up in Asia and up through European session and kind of sitting right near the highs of Globex going into the cash session, which starts in 10 minutes. So what's initially, I guess, on my mind, or what I notice here is, I guess, chronologically, we did repair those single prints from Friday's session up through there. And now we're rejecting the excess high from Friday. So we kind of got into that excess high with this. If you look down on the 1 minute, that's like a giant tape bomb, like a 100-point tape bomb. Not sure what that is. Was maybe some sort of social media post or something. But even then was rejected. So my rules would tell me if we're not gonna continue up through there, through that excess. Also now this looks like it'll be an excess for the Globex session. Then to look for at least a rotation downward, and at the very least inventory correction. I mean, this is basically not quite 100% long Globex, because we did open below the close, but I'd say probably about 80% so far. If yesterday's close was around here, 250, basically since 5 a.m. my time, but basically since early Asia all the way up through Euro is long inventory. And we can also look on the surfaces. We'll have to check again if these change at the open. But we do have the max Vex strike down at 562 and max Gamma is down at 560. There's quite some open interest here. I saw max Gex jumping between these two, 555 and 560. So those would be kind of, if we do rotate back downwards, that would be where I would look. Otherwise, to the upside, this is negative Gamma, but again, it's kind of fighting the if volatility was to drop, then we've got kind of headwind from those negative Vanna levels above. So I've got the Qs open. I did want to take a look at VIX. And still fairly bid. Let me drop down to the 1 minute. Fairly bid, but let's see, where did we open today? That's from Friday. So pretty elevated most of the session so far. Oop. And yeah, we opened around 30. But is fading a little bit here. So let's see. Still very high, very, very high vol, of course. So let's see if basically to boil it down, the bull case is continuation of this Globex trend. Up through up through the excess highs, and then maybe up to 640, the VPOC from Friday. Above there, you know, it's a lot of short inventory. Most of these sessions are short. All the cumulative delta. So it could be short covering rally. Or we could see sellers step in here. That would be a play towards that max Vanna and max gamma levels. Yeah, I think I mentioned in the last stream we would be publishing some of our backtest results. I'm still working on that. And another thing I want to mention, like I've been seeing a lot on social media, like March has been the hardest, like the hardest conditions to trade ever. I mean, yeah, of course, like if you were short into the news, like, yeah, of course you're screwed, but that's not, from a technical standpoint, that's not something you can control. Otherwise, I would say, you know, on short time scales, like half hour rotations, what we do on these streams, I don't see any difference. I don't see any difference to applying auction market theory, these gamma and Vanna flows. Nothing seems to be completely different. I mean, think about the last 2 days, even Globex or RTH. Basically, if you were short from any pop, you know, you got paid. Like, yeah, the opens are always choppy, but then it was always just like straight down. So I'm not sure what people are referring to. Who knows? They could be trading other markets. But still, to me, auction market theory still applies. Gamma and Vanna flows still apply. Yeah, I just wanted to like give that as a public service announcement. Yeah, we got 3 minutes here, so I don't know, not really much else to talk about. On a very high time frame, some of the stuff I've been looking at, if you look at the daily, because we are so far down, I've been keeping track of like poor structure, a lot of kind of edge, or the way I view markets is like the fairness of auctions. So like if price was too quickly through an area, and this applies even, I mean, these are from last year, September, August, but I keep track of gaps and like poor structure on the market profile. And one of the areas like that's super interesting for me are these kind of this double top before the tariff sell-off, which, yeah, it's about 540 on QQQ, and we have like these 3 days. Sellers look like they tried to put in 1 day of selling, but like these two here, that's the single days of transactions where we broke out into all-time highs. So this is like ripe for a revisitation. Maybe that's another blog post. Of course, you'll always, like in equities that continually or over long time periods go up, you do have like this is basically a low volume node on a very high time frame. But they're just rare overall. You just typically don't get like perfect auctions where, you know, these guys who are long here have been sitting pretty for over a year. It just doesn't happen very often. But yeah, so that would be, you know, like looking at further downside, that would be kind of like definitely an area of interest for longs, not with futures, but perhaps that's where I would look in the actual equities. But yeah, let's see. Market's about to open, so let's drop down to the 1 minute here. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. So yeah, initially bearish. Let's see if those. Okay, so the Vanna surface has shifted. Max Vex is up to 570. Let's go to the 30-minute. Where is 570? 570 is up near the open. So playing that max Vanna strike. I'd have to see. I think my levels are on here, right? On the QQQ. Yeah, I haven't marked 570, but it's about. It's about. Was it just above that swing high there? On the half hour. So we can mark that. So I could take. Don't have my stops on. That would be almost the 1 minute breakout there. A lot of strong delta. But it looks like I may have missed that. So this would be kind of the max Vex magnet play up to 570, which here on Qs, what do we got here? It's just about 620 or so, just below, I think 620. If you wanted to measure it exactly. It's a bit above that swing high. So, but let's see if I get filled here. And I would make this stop a lot tighter. Something like that. It's like a 20-point stop. So. May not get filled. Okay, we're in. On GEX2, that is the nearest positive magnet. Of course, 560 has become the max overall, but of course that's much further away. So the other thing is I am seeing more sell orders than buy. So starting to not paint the best picture here. It could be that, like I said, like an inventory correction is the more likely play. Okay, that's it. So, yeah, below here, there's nothing, at least on Gamma, until 560. Which is basically below, that's like the Globex open. So can try a short, but this may just give way very quickly. Yeah. And with this short, I wouldn't, I'm wrong if they get back above the 1 minute opening range. So the next stop would be 565, where there would be some resistance, I would expect. So kind of the bottom of those single prints. So I guess around here, 23,400 would be kind of the next area where price could dampen or slow a little bit. From a Vanna perspective, yeah, nothing too crazy in terms of kind of like fueling the fire. It's again those five strikes, so 560, 555, 550. That's where increasing vol would add some momentum, but it's counteracted by the positive gamma. So well, decent bid here in the VIX. So yeah, I'm going to remove this. But yeah, I just missed the entry there. That was a pretty clean break of the 1 minute. So far good for about 40 points. And let's see, we're getting towards that 565 strike. Let's see what happens as Qs enter there. Take a look at the surface. So a little bit of mean reversion, but very weak, very weak. Okay. A little bit of a bounce. But to be honest, if sellers are serious, I don't see why they couldn't push us down through back to 560. Yeah, which is even below yesterday's close. And I don't see, like, there's not too much structurally, there's not too much gamma until we get there. And then at that point, depending how much, I mean, if we even do get down there, if fall goes super bid, then it's a battle between negative Vanna and the kind of slowing action of Gex and the reinforcing action of the negative Vanna. So let's see this. Yeah, I think like low of day right now on the Qs probably is almost, yeah, 656 to the tick. So sellers may have a bit of work to do to break through that strike. But then below there, I don't see anything until 560, which is significant, but I mean, for NAS, that's probably around here somewhere, say 23,200. So it's another 200 points to the downside. Let me just see how this looks on the half hour. Yeah. So now we're about half a dollar, 50 cents below 464. But it looks like that strike has fallen. We'll see. Typically, these things take time. It's not like we're going to immediately nuke to 560. But at least based on these surfaces, that's what I would ultimately expect to happen. Structurally in Globex, there's nothing really where I could consider a reversal. Maybe some of these thinner, that's a pretty low volume node here down at 315 on the volume profile. So could be a potential long, but moving VPOC down to the lows of day is not exactly a bullish sign. Yeah. And I forgot to mention, we have Powell is speaking in an hour and a half, I think. So basically after the initial balance is formed, basically the open of C period, he's speaking. So no idea. It may be irrelevant in this this environment, but okay. So some bids coming on here. Let's see if they can re-tag 565. Actually, I should probably mark 565. Where is that? Like on the 30-minute. It's not a very good spot. Just above that. Right about here. Should we call it 400? It's above 415. 415. So that's 565 QQQ. Did I write? This is the 562, I think. I forgot to add the text. Yeah, it must be 562. Yeah, exactly. So and then, yeah, 560, we don't have a really good reference, but it's below, it's well below. Maybe actually something like 2300. So I don't note, but this level is just 2300 for me. If balance breaks, which of course we did about, yeah, last Thursday, this is a half of range. And to be honest, I was surprised they didn't tag it in Globex. Looks like sellers made an attempt, but it has not been hit yet. So yeah, Gex and Vex surface so far pretty standard. Or pretty stable. Yeah, and they just made another new low. So the further we get from 565, then 560 starts to, already by 562 or so, I would say, already starts acting as the magnet. So, but of course, markets usually don't move in straight lines, and if we get a vol offer, get a bit of a squeeze, and then some chop, and then maybe another push down. I think I'm already up to how long have I been on the stream here? Half hour or so? Yeah, almost half an hour. So yeah, shame that we 25 point charge is fine. We missed the short, but that went really quick. I thought we would have gotten, usually you get at least a little bit of a backfill to the 1 minute, but that was just a liquidation. So in a way makes sense too, as we discussed pre-market, excess high. If you can't get up there quickly, sellers, it's a perfect opportunity for sellers to just reshort those levels. So, and of course the overall trend right now is very bearish. That would have been, a good short. I probably would have been happy with 50 points, but it would have been good for at least 100. So yeah, I think that's about it for this stream. Interested. I'll probably keep watching myself. Interested to see if they really do want to bring this all the way down to 560, and if that magnet holds for the rest of the session. So far, it's looking that way. They keep hitting new lows, but everything's possible. So, all right, guys, that's gonna be it for me, and probably close this one out right about at the half-hour mark. So take care, and see you next Monday.